Hey everybody, this is Brian.
I'm Laura.
Yeah, that's Laura right here. I forgot briefly who this was.
Uh-huh.
And here we are with the Horror Tours, coming at you with our review of Evil Intentions Haunted House in Elgin, Illinois. This, as I'm sure you know, was our favorite haunt from 2018. It's been a favorite of ours for years, but for 2018, they outdid themselves. I mean, it was outstanding. One of the best haunts we've ever been to in years.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, so the question was, could they top that this year, or at least equal it? You know, this was the question in our minds when we went to see Evil Intentions. This year, they were in a whole new part of the building. They had changed everything up, so we really didn't know what to expect. We assumed it was going to be good. The question was it good?
Yes, it was amazing.
Laura had to think about that for a second, so
I
it
had
kind of
an
makes
itch
you
on my
wonder.
chin.
Well, in any case, yes, it was excellent this year. Outstanding this year. Some of the things, non-spoilery things, I just want to say that they did this year, we've never quite seen with such intensity in a haunt before. The progression from one scene to the next, things that were outstanding last year were even improved upon this year.
Yes.
There were some new things in there. There were a couple new things in there, new areas. Some were good. They were scenes that Evil Intentions has had before, but not quite in this way. And there were some things that were brand new entirely. And a couple of them were just okay. I'm going to be honest. They weren't like fantastic. But overall, without a doubt, still a fantastic haunt experience. If you want creepiness, if you want scariness, if you want good humor, you want actors that interact with you and adapt to a scene depending on what you're saying, let's say. Right. You want a lot of actors in there.
Yes.
You want some good sets. You want a decent length. It's about 23 minutes long or so. Yeah. $30 to get in, general admission, so that's not too bad. Oh. Really. Overall, I'd have to say that their 2019 venture in the whole new section of the building was quite a success.
Yes.
It was definitely, I would say, one of our favorite haunts this season. Wouldn't you say
definitely.
That?
Hall of Fame.
Yep, Hall of Fame from Laura, Hall of Fame from me. Evil Intentions was outstanding.
Outstanding, yes, amazing.
Now that, of course, was the spoiler-free portion of the haunt. The spoiler-filled portion of the haunt. But why was it so amazing? Well, we have to give you some spoilers to let you know that. First of all, in a general sense, I would say that in Evil Intentions, normally when we go to haunts, there's some standout actors. Okay, and a lot of times it doesn't take that many, just a couple to be standouts, and we're kind of like, yeah, this is great. Wouldn't you say?
Yes, I agree, yes.
But in Evil Intentions, we were thinking about this, and we were discussing it, and we were saying, you know, the actors that weren't standouts, that what I would just say were just okay, were the exception in Evil Intentions this year, not the rule. So in other words, the majority of actors were standouts. From the line actors, as you're waiting, all the way through, all the actors.
Actors were top notch.
Whether they were comedic, and you had some share of comedic actors, creepy, or whether they were sort of in your face. You had that too. Okay, so some of the standouts amongst many this year. We really have to commend the entire acting team. Yes. Without a doubt, inside and out. But some of the standouts were the girl in the library section on top of the bookcases. She was creepy, fantastic. The big guy on stilts, okay. He even gave me an ear. He gave me his favorite ear. I don't have it here with me, but he gave me an ear, which was awfully nice of him.
Yes, very nice.
He was so cool. We walked into the room there, and he was standing there, not moving, of course. And then all of a sudden, the lights go out, and the next thing you know, he's moving. So you knew that was good. But he was great. He was great. We got a shout out to all of the actors in the church scenes, every single one of them. The nun scenes, the hooded figure room. All the actors in the jail cell scenes were really, really good. The scenes at the end in the white maze with the cages and all the actors and that demon-headed figure. There's a demon-headed figure at the end who's presiding over everything. Excellent. Yes. All really well done. And also, I have to give a mention to the sort of swamp creatures in the bayou and also the voodoo priestess type creature type person. Couldn't really tell, and I didn't want to stick around that long, to be frank, because she was kind of creeping me out, you know. And I have to say that when you walk into this area with the voodoo shack, if you will, a voodoo shack, you hear this chanting in the background, so you know that you're coming up on some sort of priest or monk scene. You know this is happening, but you don't know when. And if anybody has been to Evil Intentions, you know that they do creepy church scenes really well.
Yes.
If there's one thing that Evil Intentions excels at, it's creepy church scenes.
Creepy church scenes, yes.
I remember the very first time we ever went to Evil Intentions, and we saw this one room where we were surrounded by hooded figures. You remember that?
Oh, yes.
And we
didn't know which ones were real and which ones weren't.
And there was
this creepy.
This figure. He was some sort of demon or something. He had cloven hooves and he had hair on the second bottom portion of his body. He was half man, half whatever. And he sort of stood in the doorway, and I just remember that creepy feeling that was there that didn't really leave, you know. And so it was very similar here this time around. Really just well done overall. There are too many things to even mention, but I have to say, on point for the actors following you around, just creepy enough so that you get unnerved, but not too much so that you get annoyed. The actors in the medical area, there was a girl with a bunny mask in a wheelchair. Great. Just like she was just living on her own there.
Yes.
There was
I like the one in the room in the kitchen. She's like, I see it's in my fridge, and she opens the door, and this character just comes running out and takes off. And then I was in the hallway with him. He was cool. I mean, it was very good. Yeah, that whole scene, you sort of go into this shack in the woods, and I was waiting for the cannibal scene. You always see those, and as you know, Laura and I, if you've seen our reviews, you know we're not really big fans of cannibal scenes. Okay, but this was not like that at all. Okay, the guy in the first room got Laura. I can't tell you how many times she got gotten. Yes.
Okay, which was hilarious to me. I always find it very amusing. But there was a girl in that same room with Laura mentioned with the refrigerator guy. Okay, whom I didn't see. He was gone by the time I got in there.
Me.
But there was this other girl. She was just supremely creepy. Okay, she got sort of up close to me, and she had these claws on her fingers, and she was kind of going like this, and she's like, hi, I live here. And I was like, okay. And I turned my head for a minute, and next thing I know, she's back in front of me again. I said, oh, you're over here now. She's like, I'm everywhere. And I thought, just that kind of acting, it doesn't take much. It's that kind of thing. Fantastic.
Yes.
I have to give a mention to the girl who played in the voodoo area too. She had sort of like this. She looked like sort of half of a creature too, and she was following me. There's this bridge. It looks like it's outside, and there are these swamp creatures that come out and get you. She was following me along that bridge, kind of shaking her head like this, kind of sort of following, not following, but definitely blocking the way. And that
very creepy.
That causes the hair on the back of your neck to go up because you're like, you can't go back there, but you want to look, but you really shouldn't look.
Right.
That's really good.
Yes.
I mean, there's so much stuff we can go on and on.
We can go on and on.
But
amazing.
we have before we end, we have to mention one thing we love about Evil Intentions, as we mentioned earlier in the video, is their creepy church scenes. Okay, they've always been good at it, but I have to say this year I think they outdid themselves.
Yes.
You hear the creepy church music and the monks chanting. By the time you get to the church, you've already been through a bunch of other stuff. You enter a church with pews, hooded figures in the pews. There's a guy who's preaching to you. He's out in the open, but there are people in the pews. There's a guy on the altar who sneaks up. This creature comes out at you. Got Laura, which is hilarious.
Oh yeah, that was.
But then he slipped around the altar again and got her again, and they never break character. And then you think you're done, but no, you're in another room with nuns. Okay.
No, well, there's a room where you're walking through the hooded figures.
I hadn't gotten to that yet.
Oh, okay. No, the nuns are after the hooded figures.
You
leave the church scene, and then there's the whole room is just like the lights go out, and then they turn on, and it's like it's flashing. And then every time there's a bunch of people in the hood, it looks like just statues, but all of a sudden someone's like in front of you, like and putting their hand in front of you and jumping out.
Along those lines, in this room with the hooded figures, okay? Now, Evil Intentions has done this before. And one of the things we always said to them was, when you have the room full of hooded figures, sometimes there would just be one hooded figure who was real, and sometimes there were none. Okay?
Right.
And they were always creepy, but we always used to say, you know what? We'd love to see more hooded figures. Well, we got it this year,
yes.
Okay? We were so confused by the time we got to the end of this room, had no idea how many were real, weren't real, no clue at all. Okay, all I know is that there's something right here in my face. Oh no, that's No.
What
Never
is
mind. I thought there was something here, but there really isn't. It's just a shadow. Never mind. I'm going to keep going. I won't even cut that out. So
okay.
there were so many hooded figures, and they were so good. And one of the things they would do really cleverly, it was sort of like a winding S pattern, never ending, of these hooded figures. Sometimes the real guys would be standing there like a statue, and the lights would go out, and they would move like this, but then they'd stop.
Well, I had one like putting their hands in front of me, like
they did
like
that a lot,
and jumping in front of me, and then going back. And
the very first thing I saw when I walked into the room, which Laura missed, it happened after she got in there, was there was a row of hooded figures like this, and you had to turn to the left, and there was a hand that came through the hooded figures like this.
Yeah,
just like that, a gloved black hand. Right?
Yes,
and
they were
just
doing that
instantly.
to me. And then they'd be like right in front of me.
Yeah, and it was fantastic because sometimes
they'd
they'd be on the
disappear.
side of you, like whispering in your ear. They were on top over here, and then I said it got so confusing. You lost track of who might be real, might not be real, what was moving, and when they when these statues, the real guys, would move, sometimes they'd stop. Like there was an instance where a guy was standing there, I thought it was a fake one. The lights flash, and all of a sudden he's like this. But he's not moving. He's like, and he moved like that in the time that the strobe went off. These guys were fantastic, okay? If that was the only room in the whole haunt, we'd have gone away satisfied. That was so good. I've never been so unnerved in a haunt as I was there. Not necessarily scared, but discombobulated, confused, and impressed at the same time.
Yes.
And I'll also say, what was the other thing we were going to say? Oh, after that, the nuns, okay?
The nuns, yes.
They did a great
Amazing.
nun room last year, but this year, oh man, more hooded figures as if we didn't have enough. And here comes this nun out of the side whispering at Laura, and then all of a sudden there's a painting of a nun on top. The lights flash, boom, the painting's gone. There's a real nun up there. Boom,
Really
lights flash
creepy.
again, she's gone. We don't know where she went or
Then
any of that.
Comes back again.
But again, to call out those scenes is not to slight any of the other scenes.
Yes.
I'm only going to mention the weak point for me in there was a school area, and some parts in the school area were a little too talky with not a lot going on. But that counts for maybe 3 scenes out of the entire thing. And not to minimize it, but just to be honest about the review, this section was not my favorite. And had the haunt continued that way, I might have been a little concerned. But thankfully, it improved. It started to improve. That's not to knock anybody in there. Just a little too talky and not a lot going on at that moment. But nice.
They also were really good. Everybody stayed in character. Actors were good.
Yeah, but you just have to be honest about it, okay? If there's a weak point, that was it. And there were other parts in the haunt where the set design was just outstanding. I think it's some of the best set design Evil Intentions has had. The cell block, which they've done before, has been redone. It's still similar to the process of the way you go through, but just fantastic. I mean, we could go on and on, but the bottom line is every level, set design, creepy feeling, actors, intensity, comedy, overall enjoyment, Evil Intentions, hands down, my favorite haunt this year, without a doubt.
Yes,
it's a Hall of Fame
too.
for me.
Hall of Fame.
Outstanding.
Yes.
Hey everybody, this is Brian and Laura over here.
Hi.
Horror Tours and our annual visit to, actually not annual, we haven't been there in a couple of years, to Haunted Garage in Burbank, Illinois. This was...
We were there 2 years ago. They just did it last year, right?
Yes, that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, but you didn't.
Okay.
Okay, take 2.